Good evening. Welcome to the first full card prediction video that I think I've ever done on this channel, to be honest. We're going from, the first fight into the main event this weekend. As I'm recording this, the fights are tomorrow night, and it is Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman headlining, which I think is a decent fight and a kind of a decent card all around. Some people are saying the UFC's so back, bro, with this card, but I don't. It's not that deep. So first fight on the card, Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos.
Now this is a women's MMA fight, so I'm not going to sit here and deep it too much, but if you take a little look at the record, you may guess who I'm predicting to win this fight. Jamey-Lyn Horth is actually an okay striker for women's MMA. She's got pretty decent technique. Also has a 7-2 record, which means she's basically Floyd Mayweather in women's MMA. And ultimately, Vanessa Demopoulos is just shit. So I'm going with Jamey-Lyn Horth to win this fight. Not going to spend too much time on it. Let's move on.
Next fight on the card is Rowe versus Ange. Neither of these guys have a great gas tank, to be honest, so this could either be a early finish in which I'd lean Rowe, or a very boring decision which I would lean Ange. Now Ange did lose against Bonfim, but he does have a win over Rhys McGee, and I do rate Rhys McGee quite a lot. I mean, when he got cut from the UFC, he went Cage Warriors. He fought the local coach of the gym that I live near, Jimmy Warlord. He fought him in his Cage Warriors retirement fight. So Jimmy lost that fight, he retired, and Rhys got back into the UFC off that fight. A bit inconsistent here and there, but is a good fighter, and for Ange to have a win over him using the grappling as well, I think he's got a good chance of winning this one. And then you've got Rowe. He lost to Jake Matthews last year. He lost to Neil Magny before that, so I think he was on a 2-fight loss streak. Two fighters that aren't really too active, to be honest. Both of them haven't fought since last year. Rowe does have a good chance to finish Ange. He's a tall guy. He got good, decent power, but I'd take, these days in modern MMA with these guys, I'd take Ange to win this one by decision because of the grappling. Next fight on the card, Ricky Simon against Cameron Smotherman. Now I believe Cameron Smotherman is a late replacement for this fight, and Ricky Simon is just a very good MMA fighter in general, to be honest. He did lose against Mario Batista, but I think a lot of people are going to lose against Mario Batista. Obviously, Batista kind of ruined his reputation a little bit in the eyes of a lot of the casual fans, just because of what he did to Jose Aldo, which it was a very boring fight, but Merab doesn't get the same criticism, and he kind of did the same thing to an extent. So I don't hold it against Mario Batista. I've always thought he's a very exciting fighter, so no shame on Ricky Simon for losing to him. And Ricky Simon just finished Basharat in the first round as well, so he's coming off a first round finish. And although Cameron Smotherman's name wouldn't suggest it, he will probably get out wrestled in this fight. I assume the grappling will be a big part of why he loses. Cameron Smotherman, but he's a striker, of course he is. Why wouldn't he be, I'm going to go with Ricky Simon, and I'm going to go with a round 2, round 3 TKO. I could see it going to the decision, but just with Cameron Smotherman being a late replacement and Ricky Simon having fought and beat much better competition, I think it's maybe just a step too soon for Smotherman, and I think Ricky Simon will probably win this one by finish. Next fight on the card, Cody Durden in the red corner and Jose Ochoa in the blue corner. Now, Cody Durden is he's alright, I actually kind of rate Cody Durden a lot more than a lot of people do. He's a decent fighter, and in the flyweight division we need all of the decent fighters that we can get, because sometimes that division is very shallow. But right now with Jose Ochoa, Lona Kavanagh, Joshua Van, I mean, flyweight is looking pretty promising, man. So I kind of want to make a video talking about that, so that'll probably come at some point. So Durden lost by finish to Bruno Silva. He subbed Match Now, which I guess is like a feather in the cap, but then he lost against Joshua Van and got beat up by Joshua Van. Ochoa does look very promising, high finishing potential for him in this fight, I think. And then Jose Ochoa is coming off some finishes on the regional scene. He obviously came into the UFC and lost against Lona Kavanagh, but no shame on that. Lona Kavanagh and Jose Ochoa, probably the future of this division, alongside guys like Joshua Van as well, like I said. I mean, look at Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez came in against Evloev and lost a close fight. Ultimately had a great showing for himself, and that kind of propelled him a lot more than it would have if he would have just came in outside the rankings and fought, a top 20, 25 guy. Instead, he came in on late replacement. And yeah, man, shout out Jose Ochoa. I think he's a great fighter, and I think he probably gets a second round TKO in this one. I just think he's got a bit more potential to finish guys on the feet quicker than Van. Van is like, he'll get you later in the fight, or he'll just score you on a decision. I think Jose Ochoa is going to finish Cody Durden and look to make a statement this weekend. Next fight on the card, Malcolm Wellmaker versus Chris Moutinho. Now, Malcolm Wellmaker, if you don't know, was fighting part-time and working full-time, and now after his last fight he got a performance bonus and he quit his job. So this, I believe, is his first fight camp that he's ever done where he hasn't been working a full-time job. And I think it was like a blue-collar manual labour type of job. I can't remember what it was. I think it's like a plumber or something along that. It's like a trade type of job, I believe. So they're some hard days, let alone coming home and training for a few hours in the evening. So Malcolm Wellmaker's locked in. It's all for the taking for him. He wants to reach out with both hands and snatch it. I don't think somebody like Chris Moutinho is going to get in the way of that, to be honest. So I'm going to go with a first round TKO for Malcolm Wellmaker, I think. I mean, Chris Moutinho did get cut from the UFC, win a bunch of regional fights, and he's back, so you have to respect that. But I mean, 9-0 versus 9-6. I know records aren't everything, but Malcolm Wellmaker just has so much momentum right now. I think he's just going to run straight through Chris Moutinho. Chris Moutinho is just a bit too much of a heavy bag. I think he'll get damage quite early and then get finished either in late round 1, which is my guess, or he is quite a tough guy. So tough guy, it sounds gay as fuck, but you know what I mean. I think he'll get finished in round 2, early or late round 1. TKO. I don't think he puts him out cold. Right, next fight. Let's get started with the Unk portion of this card. I mean, Court McGee doesn't actually look too bad. I thought he was going to retire in one of his last fights. He was in his hometown and stuff, so I guess he feels okay. He doesn't look too bad, like I said, so fair play. He wants to stick around. I feel like Michael Chiesa is like 93% done with his career, and Court McGee is like 99.5% done with his career. I think he's just waiting for a fight where he takes a bit of damage and he's going to call it quits. If you go in there and get an easy submission wins and not taking damage, why wouldn't you accept another fight? Obviously, fight camp isn't great for your body at all, but if you're going in there and getting quick results and getting a good paycheck, Court McGee must be on a lot of money. I mean, how the UFC pay structure works with the contracts is your pay goes up every so fights. So you could be on like a 5-fight contract, you do those 5 fights, the next contract they offer you kind of has to be more money, and you know, the more time you're in the UFC, the more money you're going to end up getting paid. So he must be on a lot of money, which is why they kind of try and usher some of the vets out the door. But they've allowed Court McGee to stick around for a little bit, so I appreciate that. Court McGee reminds me of days gone past. You know, it's good to see guys like him, Jim Miller, you know, still on the roster, because as soon as they're gone, this sport is just not going to feel... It's going to feel unfamiliar for me, you know what I mean? I like seeing names like Court McGee on a card. Maybe not this high up in the prelims, but shout out Court McGee. Ultimately, I do think Michael Chiesa will just kind of take this one steady and out-grapple Court McGee. They might have some interesting scrambles. One of them may get subbed, but I think Michael Chiesa by decision is probably the safe bet here. So I'm going with Chiesa by decision, but if the court sub... prop is like crazy odds, I would go for... I'd put a little bit of money on Court McGee by sub, but that is probably a very stupid decision, so don't listen to me. Speaking about stupid decisions that I'm about to make, this next fight, Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Now, listen, before I make my prediction, this is a stab in the dark. I'm picking with my heart here, but Paul Craig, before this fight got cancelled the last time, he was saying things like, if I lose this fight, I could wake up on Monday morning unemployed. I could not have a job come Monday morning. Meaning, basically, he is very aware that he is probably 1 or 2 more losses off of getting cut from the UFC. I am hoping and praying that Paul Craig has one decent performance in him, because I think he definitely could catch Rodolfo Bellato in a submission. Bellato lost to Vitor Petrino. He drew against Jimmy Crute. He did beat Ihor Potieria, but a win over Ihor Potieria, I mean, Paul Craig's been in there with some with some of the killers of light heavyweight. I mean, he's got a submission win over two of the most recent light heavyweight champions, you know, in Jamal Hill and Ankalaev, the current world champion. So I know I'm not banking on. I am banking on a chance. I'm going with Paul Craig submission round 3. I think he probably gets beat up a little bit and then gets the submission late. I'm going with Paul Craig, man. I'm going with Berju. If he loses, that's probably it for him in the UFC, and probably one of the last times we'll see him fight. So, shout out Paul Craig. I'd love to see him grapple someone in CJI. So, yeah, Paul Craig submission round 3. I'm very sorry for that pick. Next fight on the card is Alonzo Menifield and Oumar Sy. Now, Sy's on a 2-fight win streak, but those 2 fights were last year, so he hasn't fought this year yet. This fight was actually scheduled for March this year, but I believe it fell through. I'm not too sure which guy pulled out. That would probably be worth knowing because it would probably affect my prediction. Also, look at these new Venom shorts. These blue shorts that Alonzo Menifield are rocking, like, they look fucking hard, bro. Pause. Oumar looks good, bit of a tricky striker. Not to go or Daniel Cormier on you, but if you just check these significant strikes stats, the defense of Oumar Sy, the absorbed per minute, and the defense stat in general at the bottom there, the blue lines on the right, I mean, they have similar output, but Oumar lands more and he doesn't take as many shots. If you go here, you know, 36% KO, 36% sub, 27% decision. I mean, he is one decision away from being pretty much split down the middle there. So average fight time is 9 minutes. Alonzo Menifield is 7.5 minutes. Oumar Sy actually has no knockdowns in the UFC yet, so maybe he'll change that one here. But Menifield can catch him. He just makes a lot of stupid decisions. Not really a fight IQ fighter, you know what I'm saying? A bit of a Ryan Spann of light heavyweight, I guess, because Ryan Spann is no longer here at a light heavyweight anymore, which is crazy. But yeah, Oumar Sy, I'm going with Oumar Sy with a round 2 TKO. I think he's just a little bit too tricky for Menifield. I think Menifield's going to walk on something, or Oumar Sy might just sub him, club and sub, I don't know, but well, let's see what happens. Next fight on the card, Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Cody Brundage. Now, shout out Cody Brundage. My first ever stream on this channel was the card where he got that slam KO, and then somebody else got the slam KO right after. So Cody Brundage, I've always got a bit of love for Cody Brundage, man. He doesn't really have boring fights. Like, I appreciate these mid-card fighters a lot, man. You know, like I said, it reminds me of days gone by. I love the super high level elite best in the world technical striking matches that we get all the time these days, Volkan Islam and things like that, but I do enjoy just like a Cody Brundage versus a whoever, a bit of a slugfest and someone gets TKO'd, you know what I mean? So I got love for these guys, man. But that being said, Mansur Abdul-Malik is a pretty decent prospect, and I think he's probably gonna KO Cody Brundage in round 1. I mean, I don't know why I clicked grappling. Mansur Abdul-Malik is just a savage. I mean, same percentage of significant strikes, but that's because Cody Brundage puts everything onto most of his shots. As you can see, Mansur Abdul-Malik lands at a much higher clip. His defense is better, but he also takes more shots, it seems. So I wouldn't look too much into that, to be honest. What are the odds saying? Yeah, okay, that should show you the kind of mismatch that people think this is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Brundage wins and gets some sort of, you know, Mansur Abdul-Malik gasses and everybody's like, oh, fraud check. I mean, how many times do we see these kind of fights go the other way, how they're not supposed to? But yeah, I will go with Mansur Abdul-Malik. I want to say a first round KO, but I'm going to put a little bit more respect on Brundage, and I'm going to say decision. He gets some minutes in there. I think he hurts Cody Brundage a lot, but I think Cody takes the shots. I think he gets schooled a little bit, but I'm going with Mansur Abdul-Malik by decision. And I bet the odds on that are pretty good, to be fair. Next fight, Cody Garbrandt versus Barcelos. Bro, look at Cody Garbrandt, man. What the fuck? Why does he look like if Anakin Skywalker fronted a fucking hardcore band, bro? Crazy old face tattoo choice there, but Barcelos, obviously coming off the fraud check against Peyton Tabit. Cody Garbrandt kind of handed a couple of easy fights and then had to fight Figgy at UFC 300, which he didn't actually look awful. I mean, I thought he was going to get absolutely smoked, like Kai Kara France type performance, but yeah, shout out Cody Garbrandt. He kind of completely fell off a cliff, and he's brought it back like 1.5%. So he scrapes by some wins here and there, but obviously a lot of love for Cody Garbrandt, man. He's a legend, and this is my favourite weight class. So the Cody as an ex-champion of bantamweight, when it was quite a difficult division. Now he didn't fight too many killers to get the belt, and obviously when he fought TJ, he did lose both of those fights. But he either gets finished or he finishes the guy, and you've got to value people like that. You know, that's what the sport's all about. Like I said a minute ago, you need those kind of guys as well as the super technical guys that never get hurt. Now, Raoni Barcelos does have good pop on his shots, but I do think his power is a little bit overrated. He can crack, he definitely can crack, but I don't think it's as deadly as some people make out. But I do think it's enough to hurt Cody Garbrandt. I can see Raoni Barcelos kind of stalling out a decision a little bit with the wrestling and stuff, and some interesting moments on the feet. But I'm gonna go with, this fight can be exciting. It can go down many paths. Many of them are boring, but there are a couple where if these guys start trading and Cody starts swinging from the hip with his chin in the air, doing that bullshit, I think Cody Garbrandt gets clipped by Raoni Barcelos. I think they scramble over to the ground. I think Raoni Barcelos with a club and sub in round 1. I think Cody Garbrandt's going to come out feeling himself too much. As usual, Raoni Barcelos is going to welcome the fight, and I think Raoni Barcelos gets a submission in round 1. Next fight on the card, Edmen Shahbazyan and Andre Petroski. So Edmen Shahbazyan is a weird one because he's super young. I think he's my age. I think he's like 27. He might be a little bit older. He might be 28, 29. But you would assume that this guy hasn't even hit his prime yet. But and you look at his record, 14 wins and 5 losses, and you think, yeah, this guy's fine. But he's kind of washed like already. I mean, it's kind of what I was talking about in the yesterday's video with Joshua Van. I'm kind of worried for Joshua Van because he's a 23-year-old that's about to basically fight for the belt in a year or so if he wins this fight with Brandon Royval. And Edmen Shahbazyan, I mean, he's had so much damage. He's had so many wars that he's kind of washed. Like he's kind of like an old fighter in there. That's what he looks like. He's like lost a bit of a step. And Andre Petroski got chucked straight in the UFC. I think he was 6-1 when he made his UFC debut, and he's been here ever since. Now he's 13-4. He's had a lot of fights in this organisation now, and he did beat a few nobodies, but then he beat Wellington Turman. He got the split against GM3. He did lose against Michel Pereira, which is a bit embarrassing, I guess, but Michel looked very good in some fights, but he's kind of just fell off a cliff. And he's riding a 3-fight win streak, so he beat Josh Fremd, Dylan Budka, and Rodolfo Vieira. So 3-fight win streak, and he's coming in fighting Edmen. It's not looking good for Edmen so far. Edmen did beat Dylan Budka too, but Edmen lost against GM3. So it kind of, it evens out. Edmen also got beat by Fluffy Hernandez, which is no shame. Great. Fluffy's a great fighter, so I don't hold that against him too much. Andre Petroski is a little bit chinny, but that constant pressure, I think, is probably enough to beat Edmen Shahbazyan here. Edmen's just not consistent. I'm going to go with Andre Petroski by decision. A bit of a boring performance. I think, it's not really going to wow anybody, but I think he's got enough in him to beat Edmen Shahbazyan. I'm going 29-28 decision. Edmen probably wins the first round. Andre probably wins 2 and 3 and scrapes the decision. Co-main event: Rose Namajunas and Miranda Maverick.
Now, I'm not going to waste your time again. I'm going with Rose Namajunas. I don't know why this fight is happening. Why is Miranda Maverick in a co-main event? What the fuck is going on? I mean, a couple wins, a couple losses. She armbarred Priscilla Cachoeira, it's just a women's MMA fighter, you know what I mean? Just, there's not much to fucking delve into here, guys, to be fair. Rose is washed, and this sounds very mean, and I don't want to be like one of these guys that just talk shit on the fighters, but just being perfectly honest, I think Rose kind of deserves what's happening to her right now with these last few fights being kind of stale, just because of the whole leaving Trevor Whitman and kind of prioritising Pat Barry as a head coach, who's also a husband. Obviously, I'm sure many of you listening to this know exactly who Pat Barry is and what he's done. So yeah, I think just due to her ignorance and the I'm the best, and like Corey Sandhagen, eventually you are going to fight somebody that wants it as much as you. You can't just be
the I'm the best pure willpower. You need to put the time in. Trevor Whitman was great for Rose. Her footwork looked... She honestly had at one point some of the best footwork in the entire UFC. You can't say any women's fighter has the best anything in the UFC now. It's a shame, man. Women's MMA used to be pretty fucking good, bro. Like, it used to be actually decent. It never used to be this whole piss break thing, you know, like there was some good, like Joanna and Jacek, like there was so many great fights. Now we have one decent women's fight every 4 years, it feels like. It's just fucking ridiculous. So yeah, clean striking from Rose. Her footwork has diminished, but I think it's enough to beat Miranda fucking Maverick. So I'm going with Rose Namajunas by decision. 5-round decision. Just, yeah, I will probably be stood in my garden smoking a joint while this fight is going on, looking through my patio door at the screen. Rose Namajunas decision.
Main event of the evening, Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley. Right, okay, let me light this candle real quick. I'm lighting a candle in remembrance, in the name of sorrow, in the name of grief and mourning, because I'm not picking Kamaru Usman to lose this fight, bitch. I'm picking Kamaru Usman to beat Buckley. I think Buckley is extremely overrated. I'm so sorry. Listen, bro. He has a 37% strike accuracy, right? Now, on this channel, I echo a lot of thoughts of Jack Slack. It is no secret that I'm a big Jack Slack fanboy. And Jack Slack is somebody that kind of... I used to rate Joaquin Buckley a lot. I used to see some holes in his game, how he just throws himself forward, overextends a lot. But once Jack Slack kind of pointed out one of the main issues with him, which is what I think potentially loses him this fight, is just his accuracy. He misses so many punches. 37% is abysmal, to be honest. Usman is many things, and he has been caught by a lot of strikes, but the punches that usually catch Usman are pretty technical, sneaky little punches. It's not often that somebody will throw an overhand arm punch and catch Usman with their wrist and hurt him or anything like that. Now, we all know that Usman is washed, but we don't really know to what extent. I mean, he looked pretty decent against Hamza on like 4 days notice, upper weight class. He looked pretty decent in the second Leon fight. Obviously looked bad in the third, but he looked very good in the second Leon fight. Without that head kick, who knows when Usman would have lost the belt, who would have beat him, how history would have gone after that. So I'm kind of banking on Usman to win here. Like, I don't think he's fully done. I don't know, man. I think Usman's still good enough to beat Buckley. Buckley's wins are all just washed old men, which is fully suited with the fact that he's fighting Kamaru Usman. And I feel like the self-awareness of Kamaru Usman will not allow him to do like a Colby or a Wonder Boy. And if he's feeling washed out there and if he's feeling slow, he will just try and grind out a decision. If he loses, it will be a boring anti-wrestling decision. I can't see him standing up on the feet and just trying to fool himself that he's still got it on the feet. If he hasn't got it, I think he'll recognise that pretty fast, and I think he'll go for the wrestling, he'll go for the cage wrestling, which I do not blame him. So here's Buckley's wins. Fialho, Alex Morono, a half-dead corpse of Vicente Luque after a brain hemorrhage and a brain bleed, Ruzaboyev, a washed Wonder Boy, and a washed Colby. I mean, Buckley's good. But don't forget, and I know he's come down in weight, and that does a lot, and everybody improves and stuff like that. But don't forget that we've seen Buckley get beaten up a lot at middleweight by some decent fighters. Now, his run at welterweight has been okay. Wonder Boy and Colby, like, in the future, when in 20 years, when they look back at those names, they'll be like, oh, this guy beat Wonder Boy and Colby back to back. They're good wins. But they're both washed, especially Wonder Boy. I mean, just got caught against the fence, like... Just Wonder Boy, as soon as he's washed, that is exactly the blueprint to beat him. Everybody tried to back Wonder Boy up against the fence and knock him out against the fence, but he used to be slick and quick enough to get out of the way of these things, and he's just not anymore. So I'm not surprised that Buckley managed to finish it. And Colby just looks awful. I mean, I don't know what happened to him. Like, he came back and fought Leon, looked terrible, fought Buckley and just got just got punched up. So I can see Kamaru Usman implementing the grappling, and then in the intervals where they are on the feet, I think Usman will fake the level change a lot, straight hitting from both stances, 1s and 2s, especially that jab. I think has potential to kind of stun Buckley a little bit. Maybe Buckley gets a little bit starstruck. He clearly respects Usman a lot. If Usman loses, I can see that he would retire, so I would expect that if he does lose, he puts the gloves down. So I hope they have like a video package like they had for fucking Michelle Watson and Anthony Smith. And Usman was talking some crazy shit, saying he's going to win this. He's going to fight Islam for the belt. He's going to vacate the belt, move up and fight Dricus or Hamzat for the middleweight belt. Fucking fair play. A lot of people say that if that Hamzat fight with Usman was 5 rounds, Usman probably wins that, and you know, probably kills the hype. But yeah, that is the full card prediction. I'm going to try and do these every card, so I appreciate those that have watched since I've been back. I am more than happy to put the work in and grind until the views are back up. I haven't tried any of the clickbait tier lists yet, so I'll get one of those out next week. But yeah, enjoy the card tomorrow. I'll be back on Sunday for a sort of card summarization, and then I'll see you a few times in the week with a couple more videos. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for, you know, what videos you want to see, just let me know. If you enjoy content like this, subscribe. I was away for a little bit, but now I'm back. So yeah, my name's Harry. I talk about fights. Bang. There's some shit that I definitely can't say out loud.